Hi there, language arts rock stars. We are going to be talking about subject and object, pronouns today. So subject and object pronouns. One thing we do actually have to look at before we start talking about subject and object pronouns. Normally I do the verbs unit before we do pronouns, and in that unit we learn what this word means. So what we're going to do is we're going to write that and kind of talk a little bit about that up at the top of the page up before we start talking about subject and object pronouns, and then we will continue on. So every sentence has a direct object. So this is kind of like backtracking, prior knowledge you need to know here. A direct object, a lot of the times you'll see it as DO, abbreviated, in a sentence is the noun or the pronoun that receives the action of the verb. So the noun or pronoun that receives the action of the verb. It answers who or what is receiving the main verb. And you're probably going, receiving the main verb? How do you receive a verb? Well, here are some examples for you quick, just to kind of get an idea of what a direct object is. So if we have Mrs. Miller assigned us homework as a sentence, you're going to find the verb in the sentence, okay? This is what I do. Find verb, and I label it with a V, and then I say who or what after saying the verb. So assigned who? The verb is anybody being assigned in this case. Assigned who? Can we answer that question? Not in this case. What about the next question word? What? Assigned what? Oh, I can answer that question. Assigned homework. So homework would be considered your direct object. So ask yourself these two questions after your verb. Find your verb. Ask yourself verb who. If you can answer that question, the word that answers that question is your direct object. If you can't, go on to what. Verb what. If you can answer that question, you found your direct object. So I will do this. 1, find verb, and then say your verb, and then ask yourself who. If you can't find the answer to that question, do the same thing. Say verb, and then what. And if you can't answer either of those questions, there is no direct object. But most of the time, you're going to have a direct object, okay? I know that was kind of off topic of pronouns, but now let's look at what an object pronoun is. So, and then a subject pronoun too. So nouns can be subjects or direct objects. And you know what a subject is. Subject of the sentence, okay? That's the simple subject or the complete subject, which we looked at the beginning of the year. So nouns can be subjects or they can be direct objects, just like homework is up here. Homework is a thing, okay? So it's a noun. It's the direct object. A pronoun that replaces the subject of the sentence is a subject pronoun. And a pronoun that replaces the direct object is an object pronoun. Okay, pretty self-explanatory in that case. But let's kind of look at what this entails here. So again, the object pronoun has to receive the action of the verb. Okay, and it's also used after words such as to, in, for, and at. So a lot of the times if you see one of these words here toward the end of a sentence, chances are right after it is going to be your object pronoun, okay? To him, to her, in, there, for her, and at his place, okay? Here's your equation, kind of what I talked about up here. If you are finding your direct object, or to see if a pronoun or an object pronoun is in the sentence, find your subject, who or what, then find your verb, and what are they doing? What's the subject doing? And then ask yourself those two question words we talked about up at the top of the page, who or what. Okay? Subject plus verb plus who or what. Subject plus verb plus who or what. Subject plus verb plus who or what. I repeated that multiple times because I'm going to be saying that over and over throughout this unit. It's going to be one of those things that you're going to kind of get stuck in your head and you're probably not going to be happy with me, but it's a good thing to have stuck in your head for this unit. Now, going back to subject pronouns. Let's look at this example up here. Mrs. Miller assigned us homework. Well, we know that Mrs. Miller is the subject of the sentence, okay? Now, if we were to replace Mrs. Miller with a pronoun, we could say she assigned us homework. She would then be our subject pronoun. Okay, I wonder if we could do this. If we replace Mrs. Miller with she assigned us homework, she would be our our subject pronoun. Now, if we replace our direct object with a pronoun, she assigned us it. It would be our object pronoun. So it's whatever is being replaced, whatever that pronoun is replacing, whether it's the subject of a sentence or the direct object. Subject plus verb plus who or what. Assigned who? Nope. Nobody is being assigned. Assigned what? Ooh, something is being assigned. Homework is being assigned. That is our direct object. Homework is our direct object. But if we were to replace that with a pronoun, it, Mrs. Miller assigned us it, she assigned us it would be your object pronoun. Okay? Now, I want you to get out your packet. You have a little tiny piece of paper next in your packet. Looks like this. I am going to cut this down, cut this little box out here, just so it fits better on the page. I'd like you to do the same. We're going to glue this at the bottom of the page. If you wrote a little bigger and you don't have room for this at the bottom of this page, please glue it on the next page. And just know that when you're filling out your table of contents, this would be the title for the next 2 pages then. So your title would be the same for here and here if this sheet does not fit on the bottom of your page here. Okay? Otherwise, I'm going to glue the whole back side down. Just like that. And I'm going to give you some examples of words that you may find as subject or object pronouns. Their singular version and their plural version. So a lot of the times, your most common subject pronouns, which would be the ones that would replace Mrs. Miller up here, would be I, you, he, she, it. We were able to replace Mrs. Miller with she, so that's a common one that we have seen also. But if you're going to make the subject plural, you might find the word we, you might find the word you, and you might find the word they. These are all going to be found at the beginning of sentences. Subject pronouns. Object pronouns are going to be found after your verb, so toward the end of the sentence. And you will never find the word he or she being used as an object pronoun. It now changes to him and her. Me, if you have one, it'd be me. If you have two, it would be us. You would again stay as you, whether it's singular or plural, saying like you guys or just you go get this. And then him, her, and it changes to them. Okay, now these are examples. It's probably kind of sounding like it's just a bunch of pronouns thrown down here and they don't really make sense, but as we work on the next sheet in your packet, the subject and object pronoun sheet like this, you will be able to make better sense of this chart here that we glued in. Okay, so I'm going to do the first couple with you on this sheet. So subject and object pronouns is the next page in your packet. Then you are going to be doing the rest of this on your own and turning it in on your next in-person day. So subject and object pronoun. We're going to circle the pronoun in each sentence, and then down below we're going to circle whether the pronoun is a subject pronoun or an object pronoun. So number 1 says, I went to the mall. Well, the pronoun in that sentence is I. Now, is that the subject of the sentence, or is that the direct object receiving the action of the verb? Okay, I'm going to keep these notes here just so that we can refer back to them if we need to. So what I always say is find your verb. Okay, I labeled my verb with a V. Went is my verb. If your pronoun is before the verb, it is your subject. If it is after the verb, it is an object pronoun. So I'm going to say this. Before verb, and then I'm going to say after verb in your notes. Subject pronouns before your verb. Object pronouns after your verb, because it's receiving the action of the verb. Well, in this case, it is before the verb. It's the subject of the sentence. This is the person that's doing the action. So we're going to circle the word subject underneath. Okay? Next one, he and she bought groceries to eat for dinner. He and she are my two pronouns. There's two of them here. They are serving the purpose of the subject of the sentence because we found the verb bought and they are before the verb. So they are the ones doing the verb. So if the pronouns are before the verb and they're doing the verb, they are subject pronouns. If they are after the verb and receiving the action of the verb, it would be an object pronoun. Okay, the last one I'm going to do with you is problem number 3, and you're going to do the rest of them on your own. So don't mess with them. My pronoun in the sentence is them. Okay, I see it's at the end of the sentence. The first two that we worked on were at the beginning of the sentence. So this is kind of going to give me a clue that it might not be a subject pronoun, but let's just double check to make sure. What is your verb in the sentence? Don't mess with them. Mess is your verb, okay? Don't mess with who? This is where this comes into play. Subject, not here, it's not implied. So we can't do that. Verb, mess. Then we ask ourselves, who or what with the verb? Mess who? Mess with them. We can do that. Hold on. Answer that question. Mess with what? We're not messing with something, but we're messing with people. So them is receiving the action of the verb. So them is an object pronoun. It's also after the verb. Okay? You are going to be doing the rest of this page. You're going to turn it in on your in-person day, whether you're in person right now today or tomorrow or the next day when you get back. Okay? Let me know if you have any questions. What I will do is I will zoom out if you need to finish up these notes here, so you can pause this and finish those up. So sorry, you can't see the whole thing here. I will do this. Pause it here if you need to finish the top part. And then pause it here if you need to finish the bottom part. Okay? Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions.